Vivek Ramaswamy came out with a video after the election, after the Republicans got shellacked, and he laid out two reasons why the election went the way it went. I think it is spot on. Take a look.
We got our asses handed to us tonight. Republicans, we lost in New York City, we lost in New Jersey, we lost in Virginia. Democrats swept all three. In the case of New York City, it was actually a Democratic Socialist that won by a pretty decisive margin. What's the lesson for us? I think there's at least two lessons we're going to have to take away from tonight. And we're going to. I'm going to make sure we do. The first is we have to lead the way in offering answers on the affordability challenge that so many Americans are facing. I heard in my home state, we have to bring down costs, bring down those electricity bills by producing more energy, bring down the cost of housing by building more homes, and by the way, also bringing down property taxes. Bring down grocery prices, bring down healthcare costs. Ultimately, the way you fight inflation is stop printing and spending so much money at every level, federal government all the way to state and local. We're spending too much money as a government that drives inflation. That's number one. And lesson number two is that we don't want to practice identity politics. That's not us. It's not the way as Republicans. It's not the right way as conservatives. Leave that to the woke left. Race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, national origin. That's the stuff of the woke left. Don't imitate them. Focus on merit. That's who we are. Focus on actual tangible policy solutions that lift people up rather than the rabbit holes that some in the online fringes may fall into in focusing on genetic identity like the woke left. Don't do it. It's a trap. And the more we fall into it, the more we're going to actually continue to see results like tonight. On the flip side, on the positive side, if we offer solutions on affordability, if we leave the identity politics nonsense to the woke left instead of imitating them, we're going to be just fine. And I'm still confident we're going to do great things in Ohio and across the country in 2026. I'm looking forward to it. And every once in a while, it helps to be able to light a little fire under our feet.
So it does if we learn our lessons. If we don't, we will lose again. I talked about the identity politics and all of that on yesterday's show. You can go check that out if you want. But today, I want to talk about the economy side. Right now, inflation rose to 3%. That's as of September. So things are not looking good on that front. The Fed is cutting rates right now, not because they can, because inflation is cooling, because it's not. It's at 3%, which is, again, 50% higher than their target rate of 2%. They are cutting rates because the job market is not looking so good. And the Trump economic plan this go around is not the same as his first term. His first term, his economy was cooking. We know it. That's why he won in 2024, because that's what we were expecting. That's why independent voters overwhelmingly supported Trump on the economy. And we just have to be honest that it's not the same this time. It's one of the biggest reasons why people voted for Democrats this election cycle. People just want a better economic outlook. That's like, it's really simple. Elections are that simple. It's the economy, stupid, right? People have said that over and over and over again. It's why Trump won in 2024. It's why Democrats won in 2025. Here is a poll that shocked me, and it proves what I'm saying. This is from Morris. They came out. The most important issue, voters said, was the economy, and that's pretty much always the case. If you look right now, for New Jersey governor, Cheryl was plus 30 on favorability on the economy. People believe she would do better. Virginia governor, Spanberger, plus 27. Those are massive numbers. And just to show you that it's not always that way, in 2024, President Trump was up plus 63. And again, it makes sense because Trump did so well his first term and he was up against Kamala Harris, who was just going to be a continuation of Biden. It all made sense. But that is a net 92-point swing towards Democrats from 1 year ago. So we can talk about all these other things. I think the identity politics is certainly part of it. I think they look at the crazies in the Republican Party, I'm talking about independents, and they go, I don't want to be a part of that. But I think more than anything, it is that poll right there. That is hard data showing you that the Democrat Party, for whatever reason, is being trusted more on the economy. Whether we think it's logical or not, it's probably not. People do not think the Trump economy is working. Honestly, 99% of America's elections historically are decided by who Americans think will make the economy stronger. It is that simple. Or, of course, it's a referendum on the other party, and they're saying, well, I don't know about this, but that isn't working. And I think that's what happened this election. That certainly is what happened in New York. I mean, people are looking at Democrat socialism And they're saying, look, I don't really know about democratic socialism, but I do know that what we've been doing in New York over the last 20 years isn't working. So, hey, referendum on them, I'm going to give it a try. I don't think it's logical personally, but that is 100% what happened. That's why the GOP lost. It is that simple. Some people, like Steve Bannon, have suggested that it's the fault of moderate Republicans. I think that's interesting. Here's what he said.
Then in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, bro, what are you spending time in Iowa? You just ended your political career last night. As a native Virginian, you destroyed the Republican Party for a generation. There are seats in the House of Delegates that are unfathomable that could have been that were lost last night to a supermajority in the House. And hey, guess what? This is going to have implications because they're rolling. Virginia's going to go 10-1 in House. They're going to be like New England, or they're going to be like Illinois, or they're going to be like California, the Commonwealth of Virginia. It is a disgrace that you push that lieutenant governor, that you weaponized against Trump in 21 and 22 when you wanted DeSantis. You weaponized her. And then you rigged it. There wasn't even a primary. She's going to be the candidate. And she was a unmitigated Trump-hating disaster.
And 1 year ago, I probably would have agreed with Bannon, actually. I would have said, look, we need the most Trumpiest candidates possible because he is taking people over the edge. But right now, I'm not so sure. I'm really not, and it's because of the state of the economy. I don't think that Winsome Earl Sears, who he's talking about in that, is a strong candidate. Don't get me wrong. I don't think she was good. I don't think she was ever going to win that race. But I am not so sure that there's any evidence that Trump candidates did well in this election. If you look, that's just not true. Also, if Trump wanted people to win, like Earl Sears, he could have put his firepower behind them and endorsed them, and he didn't. And by the way, he even endorsed Andrew Cuomo in New York, a lifelong Democrat, in order to try to beat Zohran Mamdani, and still he was unwilling to endorse Earl Sears in Virginia, who is a Republican. So by Bannon's logic, it's actually Trump's fault. That's what he's saying. I don't think I agree with that. I think that this election was not a referendum on everything Trump, but I do think it is a referendum on what is now Trump's economy. Because guys, you got to remember, we've been in this for 10 months now. This is not Biden's economy anymore. And I'm talking about the perception of Americans. If you've studied economics, you know that the biggest mistake you can make if you really want a good economy is to measure things too short, to look at what we're doing now and think it's going to have an impact the next month. But the reality is that's what Americans expect. And so at a certain point, you have to do your best to take up policy positions that are going to make at least neutral, if not positive effects immediately on Americans. And 10 months at this point is all the patience that Americans could muster. And now the referendum is on Trump's economy. There is a glimmer of hope, though. The thing hurting the economy, most likely, in my opinion, is the tariffs. As we'll talk about later in the show today, the tariffs will likely be struck down by the Supreme Court. They are doing hearings right now to talk about it, should decide in the next coming days, weeks. So ironically, I think that Trump is going to be saved from himself. And when I say himself, I mean Howard Lutnick and Peter Navarro, the people who are trying to make the tariffs happen. I don't think Trump really is super economically minded. I think he's just business minded. And I think he's listened to some bad actors who are telling him that tariffs are the way, when in fact they're not. But it doesn't matter. It's going to get struck down. Trump is going to be saved by himself. Also, in terms of the national debt, which is obviously the driving force to inflation, can we just talk about for a moment the fact that the government has been shut down for a record amount of time? I think we're at 35 days at this point. It's never been shut down longer than that ever in the history of the United States. And nothing's changed. Like, nothing's new. Our lives have not changed at all. There's been some airport delays. Okay, yeah, sure, that's it. So if you want, let's fund the aviation agencies, since that's 0.002% of the debt, right? Or of our budget, rather. So fund that, sure. Other than that, nothing changes. The only other thing that anyone's really noticed, and that's obviously in the news, is the subsidies for food and healthcare. The food thing can be taken care of with private welfare. There's already so much private welfare in the United States. Food stamps do not need to be a thing. And maybe you could have them for veterans and a shorter list. But that's one thing that can just be taken out by private welfare. The other thing is those healthcare subsidies are money that we all spend through inflation and taxes every year anyway. So if inflation, for example, went down to 1.5% and your tax burden went down $5,000 a year, you wouldn't need the subsidies in the first place. The economy, you would feel so much lighter, trust me. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if we want the economy in a better place, like let's just stop the spending. Let's just keep the government shut down forever. And let's get rid of the tariffs as well. Be a conservative. Like let's actually go back to conservative principles, like follow the Constitution, actually have a budget, don't pass taxes without Congress, which is what Trump did in his first term, was praised for. Let's go back to that. The progressive left is a cult. I talk all about it in my book, A New Cult. I know you've heard about it because I talk about it every single episode, but Christmas is coming up. It makes a fantastic gift for your eccentric uncle, so go check it out right now. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching today's show, guys. Please like the video so other great patriots like yourselves will see it. And if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give the podcast a rating so people will find it there. And you can tune in every single weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show, or you can watch another video right here.